Welcome everyone to the March 3rd, 2026 Laramie City Council meeting. If folks would like to join us in the, oh wait, first I did call to order. Pledge of Allegiance. Correct. All right. City Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Bowling.
Here.
Freed, absent. Lockhart, absent. Newman.
Here.
O'Doherty.
Here.
Shumway.
Here.
Vigil.
Here.
Richardson.
Here.
And Cumby, absent. That's 3 present and 3 absent, Your Honor. Or, sorry, 6 present and 3 absent, Your Honor.
Perfect. Thank you, City Clerk. Next, we have public comment on non-agenda items, and we had Niles Shank signed up for this. I don't know if Niles is in the room or online. Going once. Okay, we'll hold tight. All right. Are you Niles? Niels, sorry, apologies. Come on up. If you'll introduce yourself, and you'll have 3 minutes for your public comment on non-agenda item.
Okay. Yes, my name is Nils. I am 27 years old. I've been in Laramie for 10 years. Plan to be here for a lot longer than that. I live on the south side of town on Person Street between 11th and 9th. The Wyotech dorms are right in front of my porch, and every single day, there is someone out there with a modified exhaust driving laps around the neighborhood, revving their engine, or blasting music from their subwoofer. This is something that everyone in my neighborhood is forced to listen to and endure from inside our homes. And what can I do about it? If the noise is particularly disturbing, either lasting for a long time or loud enough to the point where my walls are literally shaking, I will go outside and ask them to turn it down. And if the person is nice, they will. They will apologize and keep quiet for the rest of the day. On the other hand, if they're not nice, what will happen is they will turn their music down, and once I'm out of sight, they will go back to playing it just as loud as they were before. And at that point, I file a noise complaint with LPD. But this is unsustainable. I am not making enough progress by making noise complaints and politely asking a few people to turn down their stereo. Every time I have to go out there, it's a different person. And within a year, it's going to be an entirely new set of students at the dorms, putting me back to square one. I shouldn't be woken up in the middle of the night to have to put boots and a jacket on to go out in the freezing temps to find whomever is making the disturbance and ask them to stop. I am playing Wyotech whack-a-mole just to get some peace and quiet in my home. And mind you, all of this is just for the cars that are parked at the dorms. This doesn't work for loud cars that are driving through the neighborhood because they're not considerate enough to stick around so I can ask them to put a muffler on their car. The noise these loud cars makes isn't productive. It is not necessary. The only purpose it serves is for the pleasure of the driver and for the displeasure of every other resident in Laramie. And it's not just a few bad actors. There are hundreds of these cars within our city. We all hear them all the time. This is a public health problem. Noise pollution from loud cars causes real harm. It makes us lose sleep. It stresses us out. It distracts us. It causes property values to fall. It makes people want to move. Excessive noise is antithetical to polite society and makes Laramie a worse place to live. We shouldn't have to exist with this as a daily nuisance invading our homes. Thank you.
Thank you, Nils. Appreciate your testimony, and sorry that you are dealing with that. We do have the chief in the room, so I'm assuming he might be chatting with you a little bit later. Thank you. Other public comment on non-agenda items? All right. Anyone online, City Clerk? Okay. Moving on, consideration of changes in the agenda. Is there a public request to move a consent agenda item off of the consent agenda? Okie dokie, we will move on from that as well. And I will turn it over to you, Councilor O'Doherty.
I move that the agenda be set as submitted.
Second.
Moved by O'Doherty, seconded by Shumway. And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries. All right. Next, we will move on to proclamations and presentations. And we have got one proclamation. And I want to welcome Andrew Fecto. He's in the audience, and he'll be speaking afterward. We'll give you a chance, Andrew, right after I finish this up. So, proclamation. Whereas disability in no way diminishes the right of individuals to live independently, enjoy self-determination, make choices, contribute to society, and experience the economic, political, social, cultural, and educational mainstream of American society. And whereas family members, friends, and members of the community can play a vital role in enhancing the lives of people with disabilities, especially when the family and community are provided with necessary support services, and public and private employers are aware of the capabilities of people with disabilities to be engaged in competitive work in inclusive settings. And whereas the goals of the city include providing individuals with disabilities the opportunities and support to make informed choices and decisions, live in homes and communities where they can exercise their full rights and responsibilities as citizens, pursue meaningful and productive lives, contribute to their family, community, state, and nation, have interdependent friendships and relationships with others, and achieve full inclusion in society. And whereas thousands in Wyoming face challenges with disabilities daily, and whereas the month of March has been designated as Disability Awareness Month to celebrate and recognize disabled individuals and promote awareness. And now, therefore, I, Micah Richardson, Vice Mayor of the governing body of the City of Laramie, do hereby proclaim March 2026 as Laramie Disabilities Awareness Month and encourage all citizens, businesses, public and private agencies, religious and educational institutions to join in observing the month in honor of persons with disabilities. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the official seal of the City of Laramie, Wyoming to be affixed this third day of March 2026. Andrew, come on up.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. My name is Andre Fecto. I'm from the Laramie Advisory Commission on Disabilities. I'm the chair. Thank you all for, I'll keep this brief. Like you said, the March is Disability Awareness Month. We really appreciate having the City Council involved with us and helping us bring awareness for the roughly 25% of the community that lives with a disability, and then also their caregivers and their family members as well that help out with that. They make vital contributions to our community, and we're really looking forward to helping bring that more to the forefront this month. I'd invite the community to join us at our meeting this Thursday at 5:30. We're going to be having the Deputy Clerk from Albany County, Kayla White, come and talk about voting in the upcoming election cycle. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you very much. Councilor Doherty, do you have anything you want to add?
I just did, it's our county clerk. The deputy clerk is the one who's been emailing us, so that's why the confusion, but we're going to talk about disabilities, how the clerk takes into account people with disabilities to expand voting opportunities. And so we appreciate the advisory commission because they do a lot of public outreach.
Andre, do you want to come up and have a picture taken as well?
Sure.
All right, fantastic. And now on to public hearings. City Clerk, would you like to read off the two public hearings?
Thank you, Mayor. The first public hearing is original ordinance number 21 12, boy, I am doing great with numbers tonight, sorry. Original ordinance number 2117, amending Laramie Municipal Code 2.10 related to board and commission members. Notice is hereby given that the public hearing of the Laramie City Council will be held Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. at 406 Ivinson, Council Chambers, and via Zoom meeting for the following purpose. Original ordinance number 2117, amending Laramie Municipal Code Chapter 2.10 related to board and commission members. All information relative to this matter is available for review at the City of Laramie City Clerk's office at 406 Ivinson Avenue, Laramie, Wyoming. Anyone wishing to be heard should be present or may be represented by his or her agent at the meeting or via Zoom. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, City Clerk. Would you like to read the second public hearing? Oh, thank you. Public comment on the first public hearing for Board and Commissioner amendment. Come on up, Mr. Glass, if you'll state your name for the record.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, members of council, Brett Glass, and I have just one small comment on this. After seeing this this minor change to the municipal code, I noticed it talks about setting the terms of board and commission members according to the bylaws. And so, just out of curiosity, I went onto the city website and tried to find the bylaws for some of the boards and commissions, and they weren't there, at least not on the boards and commissions pages. So you may want to amend this, or at least instruct staff and ask them to please make it possible to find the bylaws for each of the boards and commissions. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Welcome.
Well, I love these smiles I see when I come up here. Thank you for letting me speak, Vice Mayor and Council. I was going to say this after you had discussed the boards and commissions, because this is related. It's not very specific to what you're looking at, but I've been thinking about them. I've talked with the mayor about this, and I wanted to kind of get this on the record. As you know, I'm a long-term fan of advisory boards, commissions. I think we do a lot of real good things. I'm not speaking for mine, but as a member of the public. There are two items I hope you will consider as in your ongoing studies of boards and commissions, because I think having the extra eyes on the community really, they help you out a lot, and they help us all out. When a board or commission, this is the first item, when a board or commission develops an idea, say research, discussion, just something they see around town, interactions, through whatever reason they do, and they like do the subcommittee, the full routine, do the research, make a presentation and do that, I feel they should be able to present directly to council, not asking a staff person to speak for them, because the board and commission has done the work, and they can then stand here at the podium and answer questions from council, because they probably have a lot more knowledge than just what they've put in their presentation, and I think that would make it better for all of us. Besides, staff members are busy and they got plenty to do already. The second item is, although I have not done, like Mr. Glass, a deep research into the bylaws of all the various boards and commissions, I know with mine, the agenda is approved by staff, and I would like to see a better way for individual board members to say, next meeting, can we talk about X, Y, Z, whatever it may be, and it just comes up on the agenda without having to get yes, yay, or nay from staff. They're busy. They've got plenty to do, and that as board and commission members, we're the eyes and ears out there looking, watching, seeing what's going on in our community and saying, hey, we need to improve, like for ADA, or we need to improve for traffic, or we need to improve for parks and trees, stuff like that. And I think they should be able to say, next month, can we discuss this? And then, okay, right then, and it's decided. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I got it done in 19 seconds. To go. Thank you.
Any other public comment on this item? Okay, we will close that one and move to the next. City Clerk, please.
Mayor, I think it's announcements next, right?
No, we got one more.
One more public.
One more public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor. The next public hearing is a new application for a restaurant liquor license number R73 for Momo House and Grill Incorporated, doing business as Momo's House and Grill located at 207 South 3rd Street. Notice is hereby given that on the 12th day of February 2026, an application was received in the office of the city clerk for a new restaurant liquor license number R73 for Momo House and Grill, Inc., doing business as Momo House and Grill located at 207 South 3rd Street, Laramie, Wyoming, for a license term of March 4th, 2026 through May 7th, 2026. Public hearing to hear comments or protests relative to this license application will be held Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. at Council Chambers, 406 Ivinson Avenue, or via Zoom meeting ID number 894-4277-9749, passcode 830609. Action on this application will be considered at the regular meeting of City Council on Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. in Council Chambers. Anyone wishing to be heard should be present or may be represented by his or her agent at the meeting.
Thank you, City Clerk. Any public comment on this public hearing? All right, seeing none and none online. Okay, moving on to announcements. City Manager.
Honorable Vice Mayor, we have 3 announcements tonight. The first will be from Parks Recreation and Public Services Director Mike Bork, and second will be from the Public Works Director Brooks Webb.
Thank you, City Manager, Honorable Vice Mayor, City Council. Just 2 announcements. First, you all received an email from the City Clerk via our consultant conducting the sports study, asking you to click on a link to sign up for one of 3 focus group meetings that are being held as City Council members getting your input on the community-wide sports study. So if you haven't done so and one of those 3 dates works for you, great. If you haven't, I ask that you would. If none of those dates work, though, that's not a problem. The consultants will send out a survey after that you can still provide feedback. So if none of those 3 dates work, we know people's schedules are crazy. So just wanted to remind you and ask if you haven't signed up for that to please do so. Those 3 dates are March 9th, 12th, and 17th. So we can certainly send that out again if anybody wants it, but the link to sign up directly from there was on that. And then the other announcement was I wanted to both publicly announce to remind the public and invite all of you to the Luau in Laramie this coming Friday. I think this is the 3rd or 4th annual Luau in Laramie. So it's this Friday from 5. It starts at 5:30. I think we've got it listed 5:30 to 7:30, but it'll go until people are done. But super fun event. We're going to have games out in the gym, swimming activities. There might even be a Parks and Rec director playing the ukulele on stage for a little while. So if that doesn't entice you, maybe the Parks and Rec director, I don't know, doing the hula. No, I won't do that for you. But we do invite you for the public, anybody that's listening, if you haven't heard about it yet, it's free with a rec center membership or it's a day pass to get in. And again, that's this Friday at 5:30 at the Luau. We hope to see some of you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Bork. Welcome, Director Webb.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and City Council. On February 3rd, you probably recall, you all awarded the bid for the 2026 street rehab project to Knife River. And that project is actually getting ready to kick off. There's a press release coming out tomorrow. I cheated and got it early. And it outlines kind of a schedule of how the work's going to go. The first work is going to begin as basically curb and gutter, some sidewalk patch repairs, and ADA ramps. So all the concrete work is going to start first. And then in May, they're going to come back in and they're going to start doing the mill and overlay, get the concrete work done so they can match everything up when they come in and they put the asphalt in. I want to let you know in the press release there's a website and email and phone numbers that people can call when your constituents reach out to you, and they will with this project just because the breadth of it is huge and it's going to be inconvenient for folks. That's the best place to send them to. If you send me an email asking me questions about the project, I'm probably going to send you back those links and those emails and those phone numbers. So when that comes out tomorrow, I would encourage you to hold on to that. And if you don't get it and you need it, let me know and we'll forward it on to you. Thank you.
Director Webb,
Yes.
Quick question, just for those in the audience, can you at least tell us where this is going to start so people can be prepared for what's coming up first thing?
First thing, 4th Street, Flint to Clark.
Thank you very much.
Starts Friday.
Great. 4th Street, Flint to Clark starts Friday.
Yeah, and the first couple months, we don't really anticipate any full road closures because it's going to be that kind of on the side. There may be one or two if they've got to do some valley pans, but we're not expecting any real full road closures because it's just that curb gutter, ADA ramp, so maybe some lane shifting and things like that. But no full closures at the beginning. Once we get into the mill and overlay, there may be some full closures.
Thank you very much. All righty. We will move on to disclosures and/or conflicts of interest from anyone. Okie doke. Next is the approval of the consent agenda. Councilor O'Doherty.
I move that the consent agenda be approved and that each specific action on the consent agenda be approved as indicated.
Second.
Moved by O'Doherty, seconded by Bowling. City Clerk, if you could call the roll.
Bowling.
Aye.
Freed, absent. Lockhart. Oh, sorry, absent. Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Vigil.
Yes.
Richardson.
Aye.
Cumby, absent. That's 6 yeses, 0 noes, and 3 absent, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, City Clerk. Making me feel right at home with the numbers there. All right, moving on to the regular agenda. We will start with 11. Oh, yes.
We have item 10 now. Do you have any mayor announcements? Or
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the reminder of the mayor announcements. I do not have any mayor announcements. And we already acknowledged Andre, so I think we're good to go. So thank you for the reminder, and we'll move on to 11A. Councilor Bowling.
Apologies, Vice Mayor. I just lost my link.
We're struggling today.
So I got it. I move that the Laramie City Council approve application for a new restaurant liquor license, number R73, to Momo House and Grill Incorporated, doing business as Momo House and Grill, located at 207 South 3rd Street for the licensing term of March 4th, 2026 through May 7th, 2026, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second. Moved by Bowling, seconded by Vigil. City Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So the item before you tonight is an application for a new restaurant liquor license for Momo's House and Grill. They have slightly changed their name and are requesting a restaurant liquor license as we are currently out of bar and grill liquor licenses. Restaurant liquor licenses are unlimited and are not under the same population formula that the bar and grill are that they previously held. They had closed during construction as they found it difficult during that time frame. So they're reopening and excited to start serving the community again. I do not see the applicants present tonight. They are aware that they do need to maintain that 60-40 split. 60% of their revenue can come from food or more, but only up to 40% can be from alcohol sales. So with that, Mayor, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions? Councilor Bowling.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you, City Clerk. And if I missed this in my review, I'm just curious, why is the term of the licensing so short, March 4th to May 7th?
That's a great question. Through you, Vice Mayor. The licensing terms go from May 8th of one year to May 7th of the following year. So they're applying for the remainder of this term. And then on April 7th, you'll see a renewal application along with the others.
Thank you, City Clerk.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay. Public comment on this item? And I don't see any online. Is that correct, City Clerk? That's correct. Okay. All right. Any comments? All right. City Clerk, if you'll call the roll.
Freed, absent. Lockhart, absent. Newman.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Behill.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Bowling.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
And Cumby, absent. That's 6 yeses, 0 nos, and 3 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. Next, we'll move on to item 11B, amending Laramie Municipal Code. Councilor Newman.
I move that the Laramie City Council approve original ordinance number 2117 on second reading, amending Laramie Municipal Code Chapter 2.10 related to boards and commission members.
Second.
Moved by Newman, seconded by O'Doherty. And we have got City Clerk again.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The item before you is on second reading, and I'll briefly touch on this ordinance again. What we're doing here is we're trying to just align with what our current practice has been. This ordinance has not been amended since the 80s, early 80s, and is in need of a refreshment to ensure that we're not in conflict with our boards and commissions bylaws and their ordinances that are creating them. So this is just removing some of those terms that we're not currently using and haven't been for many years. So it's just a clarification in the ordinance. Vice Mayor, if I could, I would like to address the comment that was made regarding bylaws. I have verified that all of the city bylaws are on the individual boards and commission pages, with the exception of one, which we will rectify. But I do see that we do have some room for improvement. We could put a bigger heading to make sure that it's clear where those are at on those pages. And I'm available for any questions if you have any.
Great, thank you. Any questions from council? Thank you, City Clerk, and thank you for looking into that so quickly. Any comment, any public comment on this item? All right, seeing none. Comments? Councilor O'Doherty.
I just want to thank our board and commission members. I see at least one gentleman in the audience, and we had some here earlier, so we thank you for your service to the city.
Thank you. All right, City Clerk, you can call the roll, please.
Lockhart, absent. Freed, absent. Bowling.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Behill.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Cumby, absent. That's 6 yeses, 0 nos, and 3 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. Moving on to 11C, repealing Laramie Municipal Code related to surface water. Councilor Newman. Councilor Newman.
This has been a night.
I tell you.
Yeah. I move that Laramie City Council approves original ordinance number 2118 on first reading, repealing Laramie Municipal Code Chapter 13-80 as enacted by an enrolled ordinance number 1876.
Second.
Moved by Newman, seconded by Behill. Welcome, Director Webb.
Thank you. Excuse me. Vice Mayor and Council. On December 3rd, 2024, City Council passed and approved Enrolled Ordinance 1859, adding Laramie Municipal Code Division 7, Chapter 13.8, related to surface water drainage. On February 3rd, 2026, City Council passed and approved Enrolled Ordinance number 1876, amending that code. That was last month. That was the code we put in place with the caps in it. A couple weeks after that, Senate File 116 was introduced at the Wyoming legislature. Senate File 116, if passed, ultimately would have rendered our code and many other municipalities' codes invalid or unworkable. Last week, Senate File 116 failed to pass through the Senate. The Select Water Committee is expected to take up the surface water management in the interim. In fact, Vice Mayor was at Select Water yesterday testifying. I saw you. The Wyoming Association of Municipalities, the City of Laramie, and many other communities across the state have committed to work with the legislature in the interim for a possible solution and bill on the subject matter next year. Given the current legislative uncertainty surrounding surface water funding authority, staff recommends repealing Chapter 13.80 of Laramie Municipal Code to allow the city to focus resources and policy efforts on areas with greater regulatory and financial certainty. The ordinance in front of you tonight formally repeals Chapter 13.80 of the Laramie Municipal Code in its entirety, thereby eliminating the Surface Water Management Fund and its associated billing and regulatory framework. There was one thing I wanted to pull your attention to on the actual ordinance. In the second whereas, I made a typo. It says whereas on February 23rd, that should say on February 3rd. And I'll make sure I get that corrected for second reading. It's correct on the summary sheet, just on the ordinance part, I put in an extra number. With that, I'll take any questions if you have them.
Questions? Councilor Doherty.
My question is, but the fund, didn't we put $5 million into the fund to get surface water drainage activities going? Isn't that a fund, or is it just?
Yeah, Mayor, through you, I might, just so I don't say the wrong thing, I might punt this over to Director Wade, if she doesn't mind.
Director Wade, welcome.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and members of council. Through you, Mayor. So we have the $5 million commitment for surface water drainage. What you may remember in all of our work together this fall is we talked about using that money to provide an enhanced level of service similar to the reduced rate recommendation that the council landed on. And unless the city manager would like to pipe in, I believe that is still our plan, is to keep that $5 million restricted. And so what we will do is we will take out from the fund that was created, we'll move all activity back to the general fund. In the budget that you see here in just a little bit of time, you'll see a new division in the general fund where we put additional allocated funds, as well as break out the funding that we were previously spending, because one of the things that we realized this fall as we worked on this issue together was that those numbers were really hard to see for the public, because right now they're included in the street and storm drainage division. And so you're going to see a much more transparent presentation of the spending on surface water drainage in this period where we're doing that enhanced level of service, and into the future, even if that enhanced level of service were to discontinue.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councilor Newman. Pause on Councilor Newman. Next to City Manager. Go ahead.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, I just want to take a quick moment to thank the staff and the council for all the work that they'd completed over the past couple years on surface water drainage. The decision that we're making to move forward with repeal is not an easy one, but it's the accurate one, and given the political climate and what's been happening in our community surrounding surface water drainage utility, I do intend to bring forward a new division for council to consider. This will allow us a greater opportunity to track the expenses and know exactly how much surface water drainage is taking to maintain, operate, and hopefully provide some capital improvements to. It's an exciting time for the city of Laramie, and we look forward to your support of this repeal.
Thank you. Councilor Newman.
City manager, what happens to the staff that we have already hired through this? Because I would hate to see them go away.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, that's the intent of the division. Currently, we are continuing to operate it as a division. What you will see through the budget process is a general fund division that will include equipment, operations, maintenance, and personnel.
Thank you. Any other questions by council? You don't need no more?
My papers.
Oh, okay. Public comment. Any public comment? Welcome.
Honorable Mayor and members of council, I was at the legislature to speak in favor of Senate File 116 because I think it would have set the ground rules. It would have made it easy to move ahead. No, we weren't in full conformance, but we could have done that. We could have fixed things easily and then moved ahead. Now we really are in an uncertain political environment. This is a surprise. The lobbyists lobbied the senators at the last minute.
Just a minute. Mr. Brett, if you could speak to the repeal of this, that would be great.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, okay. In any case, now there's considerable uncertainty, so I think the right thing to do is to repeal. One question that I have, perhaps staff can answer, is that as far as I know, there's funding coming to for this from the SPET, and that's only allowed to be used for capital expenses because it's a SPED. So we'll need to be careful about how we reallocate that funding so that restriction's still maintained. I'm curious what we plan to do about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Glass. And City Manager, you are welcome to come up. From my understanding, that is allocated to storm drainage, and that can be physical improvements via storm drainage, which would take care of that SPET, and it would be safe for use. Is that correct? Okay, great. Other public comment? Come on up.
Chris Stratton, 1569 North 6th. I think this is that one end of one step forward, 3 steps back. I don't exactly agree with the idea of going through this. Yes, it did fail, and we are able to continue on the path that we are until something happens. I would like to see it stay and us continue on the path. And then if it becomes appealed and we can't do it, go back. But we shouldn't be taking steps back. We should be keeping with things forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. If you can state your name, that'd be great.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'm Arvin Martinez, Laramie, Wyoming. I've followed this for a few months now, and we need to bring this to the voters. And that's what should have been done with Section 16 and not 15. We spoke a lot about this. I don't want to repeat a lot of what's already been said, but it does need to be repealed. I, as a property owner, know that we need surface drainage management. We need it. It's how we are going to pay for it that makes the most sense. Repeal it, get it out to the voters so they can decide how we're going to pay for this. My suggestion has been, right from the get-go, put it on the 1 penny sales tax thing. I would even be in favor of paying 7% sales tax in Laramie, Wyoming, to compensate for this. I appreciate all the work that Brandon has put into this and the rest of the council. I think you're realizing how this is touching all us business owners and all us homeowners. It's not something that we take lightly. It's not something that we feel doesn't need to happen. It's how it gets paid for. And at the end of the day, when you start putting the emphasis on the University of Wyoming, business owners, WyoTech, it It's not right. You got to put it out there for the voters to decide how it's going to get paid for. Once that's decided, I think you're going to find, let's move forward with this. Let's get going. I do think that by next month, I mean, I keep getting this zero bill for my properties. Quit wasting your stamps on that. Quit wasting the paper on that. Be done with that. Put that money, set it aside for when you do need it, when we do get this resolved. Resolve that. Stop spending that money. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for coming in. Anyone else? Public comment on this item? Okay. Council comments. Councilor Newman.
Do we have to make a motion to change that second whereas, or can we just use that as a scribbler's error?
Scribner.
Looking at me. We can make a motion now, or we can fix it on second.
Fix it.
Vice Mayor, with it being a pretty unsubstantive change, I don't, if the attorney is comfortable with it being on second reading, then I think we can do that.
It could, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it's a minor, it's a scrivener's error. We'll fix it through your second reading.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for the question. Other comments? I would like to echo City Manager's comments. I know staff worked your tail off to adjust when we realized that the ordinance that we first passed was not going to work for us or work for the town. And so just thanks so much. I know it was a ton of work. And I really do look forward to the interim to see what we can come up with as a state to address the problem and hopefully have a solution that fits all of our municipalities. So with that, City Clerk, if you can call the roll.
Newman.
Yes.
Bowling.
Aye.
Lockhart, absent. Freed, absent. O'Doherty.
Yes.
Behill.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Cumby, absent. That's 6 yeses, 0 nos, and 3 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. Moving on to 11D, Site Lease and Facilities Sublease Agreement. Director Wade.
Oh, wait. You have to bring it to the table.
Sorry?
Don't I have to read it first?
Oh, gosh. Yes. Councilor O'Doherty, if you would read this in, that would be great. Thank you.
I move that the Laramie City Council approve Resolution 2026-22, authorizing a site lease and facilities sublease agreement, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second. Moved by O'Doherty, seconded by Behill. Now, Director Wade. Welcome.
Good evening, Honorable Vice Mayor and City Council members. I thought what might be helpful this evening, because I've had some back and forth correspondence with individual council members. Mr. Thompson, as you know, in a separate engagement, has provided the council with more information on the ways we finance transactions in Wyoming that are allowable under the constitutions and the ones that require a vote. So he's provided more clarity there based on the good public feedback you got. I thought what I could do is actually start by putting out some information that I felt like was consistent in my conversations with individual council members, just to make sure that that information is out there. And so I'll do that a little bit this evening, and you'll have plenty of opportunity to ask Mr. Thompson or Mr. Bishop any questions you may have. But just to kind of set the stage, remember that this project, part of this project, is actually funded by the 2018 SPET tax. As you know from the planning process from the 2026 SPET tax, it is not unusual to have a general fund match or contribution for various SPET projects when we expect for that SPET to perhaps not be sufficient to provide for the need. A good example would be perhaps needing to acquire land for a new potential fire station, to move that fire station, or additional general fund match on surface water drainage. And so that practice of using general funds as it's appropriate to do so to match SPED is something that is fairly well established. Remember that that ballot category in 2018 actually included multiple types of improvements. And so there were some police building improvements included in that SPET. There was also this project, which is the remodel of both the City Hall building and the Annex building, as well as potentially a placeholder for some activity on 4th Street, depending on what came up in that 8-year cycle. And when you're planning for a SPET, you're planning for that 8-year cycle. So I thought that was a really important point to just get on the record and talk about a little bit. I know that there have been some comments and questions. Why doesn't this portion just go on the next SPET? The answer to that is really simple. This project is already fully adopted in your budget, and you have fully contracted for it. And so the idea of it being on the next SPET, while it's great to have those questions asked, is not something that would be appropriate because this project is fully underway and will be completed by the fall. It's been talked about in the budget. It's been talked about at the award of the contract. And so those are some nuances that I thought were really important to get out there. There have also been some questions about what about excess collections for the current SPET. I have a good answer for that. Excess collections are held by the county treasurer for, it's my understanding, 1 year. And Ms. Fletcher is definitely the expert in this. I'm not, but she and I have had conversations. And after that year, those excess collections are released to the city, but they have to be applied to that specific ballot category. And so if you were to ask me right now what amount I thought in excess collections might be available for the facilities category, it might be around $100,000. And you'll notice in the cover sheet that I absolutely say when we get those funds in a year, we will be, the city manager and I will be evaluating the best use of those proceeds, and an allowable use of these proceeds would be to make some lease payments under this arrangement. And so all of those items are definitely being considered. I believe I was also asked how much is in hand for the current SPET. I would say to that question, that doesn't really matter. What matters is on hand, what is on hand for this ballot category. And what I would tell you is this ballot category is fully allocated. And so there's no deeper we can dive in the current SPET to find resources for this project. And I just really wanted to make sure that I got that information out there, mostly because I thought the questions were really good questions, and I think those are an important component of the public record. Now let's dive into this arrangement a little bit more. I think there's also been some concern about scope creep. I actually have been on this project team with the city manager from its inception, and it was always our intention to accomplish primarily what we're accomplishing, which is remodeling all 3 levels of the City Hall Annex building to provide for modern, efficient working spaces and converting a lot of the unused space in the basements to real office spaces. In the Annex, for example, I'm not sure how many of you have looked at the IT spaces, but it's really tough to do work in those conditions. And so this is not about having the nicest offices. When this project is done, you'll see that the offices are reasonable. I mean, it'll be a big improvement, but they're reasonable and allow for that efficient workspace. Similarly, getting the basement of City Hall finished in terms of that remodel was very important to us, because you know, if you've been down there, not only does it not smell good, it smells terrible, in fact. Most of that space is actually storage. Remember, we've gone through our ERP project, we're paperless, and so we can do some things better. And so all in, all told, both of those buildings, for all of that remodel, that's the $5 million project that we're working with. The general fund match is about 40% of that. And if we want to talk about inflation, since the 2018 SPET was passed, inflation, since that tax was passed and when this contract was encumbered last summer, has been about 30%. So 40% general fund match in today's dollars with 30% inflation. I think for people who are skeptical, that all that information also goes a long way to talking about whether or not there's been scope creep. And so those are all things I wanted to get in the record this evening. Mr. Bishop and Mr. Thompson are going to tell you a little bit more about these types of transactions in Wyoming. Basically, these types of transactions are very common. They are a close cousin of the lease purchase, and these are the types of transactions that I really look at for equipment or building improvements that range in that $500,000 range to maybe a little bit above $2 million. So items that we are able to spread out the cost of over time so that we can retain more cash on hand for items, for projects that we can't actually spread out the cost of over time. Things like your street improvements, your surface water drainage improvements. And right now we are at a critical time in the city where the council, the city manager working together are investing unprecedented amounts of resources back into our community, which is what we should do, in my opinion, from enhanced sales and use tax collections. So the $10 million from streets, the $5 million for surface water drainage, the $2.5 million to acquire land for police facility upgrades, for the fire station relocation, $2 million for housing enabling infrastructure. That doesn't happen without planning for your cash flow. And while we do have significant resources right now, I continue to think it's very important to engage in these types of transactions for these relatively low dollar transactions when we find that they are a good choice, not only to spread out the cost, but at a competitive interest rate. And I'll tell you why that matters. So I earn on city funds about the Treasury yield curve. The agreement before you this evening to be considered over the 7-year period is at just a little bit above that Treasury yield curve, which means that the funds we retain for these other initiatives, as they're not being expended, they're earning about what we're paying in interest, about, not entirely. So it really does minimize that interest cost over time, and it really does make good sense when you're trying to secure improvements in today's dollars, but spread out that cost over time. And that's really what we're doing here. And I think it's important to remember that and just provide that bigger picture context. And so I think that's all the additional information I really wanted to get on the table this evening. For you all, I'm happy to open it up to any questions before I turn it over to Mr. Bishop and Mr. Thompson to provide you with more information.
Any questions?
Thank you.
All right. And Mr. Bishop or Mr. Thompson, if you have additional information that you would like to share, please feel free to hop on.
This is Rick Thompson. Can you hear me? Todd, are you on?
We can hear you.
Okay. Well, Todd, I don't know if you wanted to go first or you want me to go first, Todd? Do you have a preference?
I don't. Jump right in.
Okay. Well, Vice Mayor Richardson, members of the council, I'm Rick Thompson with the firm of Hathaway and Coons in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And I can tell you that this type of lease financing is very common throughout Wyoming. The city of Laramie is by no means the first to use this type of finance. It's been used for many years by many municipalities. I sent Ms. Wade a list of transactions that just our firm has done. I know other councils around the state that do these type of transactions have done some as well, but it was a very lengthy list. Cities, towns, counties, school districts, hospital districts, the state of Wyoming, community college districts, and many others have done it, and some have done it multiple times, many times over the years. And that's because it's perfectly legal in Wyoming. When you draft a lease financing provision or lease back, it's important to remember that these are subject to annual appropriations, so you're never binding a future council. You're only bound for the current fiscal year. If you choose not to renew at the end of the fiscal year, there's no obligation going forward. There's no pledge of full faith and credit of the municipality. There is no mandatory tax levy, and no taxes are pledged for the repayment. The remedies for non-appropriation are limited to repossession or reletting of the property. There is no right of anybody to go after the city for any future amounts owed. There are no future amounts owed. If you choose to cancel lease and don't appropriate, there's no acceleration clause requiring payment of any future sums. So this type of lease financing structure is commonly used. It is not considered debt under the meaning of the Constitution of Wyoming, and we have an Attorney General's opinion on that point that supported the state of Wyoming when it undertook to use lease financing for the state prison. And so what you're doing in terms of approving this type of transaction is very commonplace in municipal financing in Wyoming. Thank you. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Appreciate it. Mr. Bishop, do you have anything in addition you'd like to add, separate from, I guess you're the finance side of things, so hop on in if you do.
Sure. I'll just be brief. As Ms. Wade pointed out, we did receive a very low rate of interest for this financing, competitively bid amongst the banks in Laramie and around the state. We'll be locking in that low rate of interest for the term of this lease. And I think it's important to point out, should the city be in a position or come into the funds to pay this lease off prior to its scheduled maturity, you'll have the right to do that, and there won't be a penalty assessed for doing that as well. So I think it really provides a lot of flexibility to the city in that end. I believe I covered a lot of the points about how we got to through the bidding process and the rates that we ended up with. Unless you would like me to expand on that this evening, I don't believe I will, but just adding to what Mr. Thompson said, we've certainly used this around the state. Gosh, Platte County used it here recently to finance their courthouse and jail. Carbon County's used it. The towns of Lusk, Guernsey, Pine Bluffs, Albin, the list goes on with this capital facilities lease type structure. So not anything new, but certainly an accepted financing method that our governing bodies have used around the state. So
great. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Director Wayne.
Honorable Vice Mayor, I would just like to add, I actually asked Mr. Bishop and Mr. Thompson to not give the full list of specifics because it's really not our work to go and talk about what every other governmental entity in Wyoming has done. I will tell you that there are 28 people on the list that they sent me just from doing a little bit of research this afternoon. So when Mr. Thompson says it's a long list, they're being very truthful in that. Just for what it's worth.
Great, thank you. Council, any questions? I think a few of my questions were answered now, and I appreciate both of you coming back because I think some of the public hadn't had a chance to hear you before, so it's nice to have that information again, so thank you so much for being here. Public comment, come on up. Welcome, Mr. Glass.
Yes, thank you. Brett Glass, Honorable Mayor, members of Council. The heading of this item says authorizing a site lease and facilities sublease agreement, but this is not really a pair of leases. I mean, to use an old metaphor, it walks like a loan, it quacks like a loan, it swims like a loan. It's a loan. As a matter of fact, your lawyers here even used the words financing and interest. And if you take a look at one of the documents that are in your packet, you will see that there's an amortization schedule which talks about interests and talks about paying off the loan. This is a loan, and according to the Wyoming State Constitution, yes, it's legal to do this, but you need to go to the voters to have them approve it. This appears to be yet another instance where municipalities may have violated the Constitution by not doing this. I don't know about the instances that were mentioned by the other speakers and whether they were brought to a vote. but they should have been. And so what I urge you to do is not to play this game, which if this were ever brought before a judge, they look at it and say, this is a loan. Go get the, go get the voters to approve it. I recommend that you either actually take out a bank loan or that you float bonds. You do have bonding authority under both the old SPET resolution and the new one, which is coming up in May. And because those would be tax-free bonds, you might even beat the arrangement that you're getting from the First National Bank of Omaha on this loan because of that. So please, again, don't engage in this sham, because this is what it is. Let's be honest with the people, and if we're doing something that needs to come to a vote, please let's bring it to a vote. We have 3 elections this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Glass.
Can we direct staff to answer the bonds on the SPET that is on the ballot coming up and what those can only be used for, please?
Yes, that sounds good. If you would come up, Director Wade, and talk about those bonds, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Richardson. Through you to Councilmember Newman. I believe I tried to answer that question earlier. This project is fully contracted for and in the adopted budget, and so it would be very inappropriate if it were to carry forward to the next SPET.
Thank you. Other public comment? Gesundheit, welcome.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you, Council. Arvin Martinez, Laramie, Wyoming. I totally agree with what Mr. Glass is saying. And unfortunately, I didn't know enough about this to get enough public support to come early on your first and second votes. I look at what's happened on our north property that was purchased. I wish I would have got involved in that 10 years ago to try to understand the scope of the money that has been spent on that.
You could keep it to this topic.
I will.
That'd be great. Thank you.
With that being said, I think this, as Mr. Glass has stated, needs to, same as the stormwater thing, be put in front of the voters. And yes, it's good interest rates, but at the same time, who's deciding on what is great and what is not great? And that's where you got to put it in front of the voters. Now, it's going to be real easy to say, well, we're already on our second vote. This is our third vote, and we just want to be done with it, and we want to get City Hall remodeled. We can all appreciate having a nice place to conduct business, but at the end of the day, it's the taxpayers that got to decide how it's going to be paid for. Thank you.
Thank you. And just a clarification, this is our first vote on the item. Oh, no. Resolution. Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Resolution, so there is only one. Thank you all for keeping me on track tonight. But this is the first and only for it. Any other public comment? Come on up.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight, Council. My name is Eric Henderson, resident of Laramie, and I want to appreciate Council for elevating the city staff for all of their work 455 days after December 3rd, 2024, for considering repeal of a initiative that bypassed the voters, and this similarly feels very much like that. Thank
you.
I'm sorry?
I didn't know if you were wrapping it around. I didn't know if you were wrapping it back around to this. Thank you for doing so.
I appreciate it. It's very important that I speak about my concern for this initiative feeling so much like a voter bypass situation, again, creating what feels like a pattern. And that consideration is it's most concerning to be a citizen and go to Cheyenne and have to weigh in through the legislature on things that were substantially commented on through that period of 455 days in our city on a similar type of issue.
Okay, back to this. If you could stay on this topic, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
again, the similarity is my connection, and that really is something that I would hope that council will decline the resolution and live within the means of the 2018 SPET and adjust accordingly to live within that budgeted allocation that was approved by the voters in 2018 for the remodel of City Hall. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Other public comment? Council comment. Councilor Doherty.
It seems like the time to micromanage our finance is in the budget process, and that's why Director Wade is going very methodically this year to try to educate us about each thing in the budget. We decide that this money is going to be spent on that, and then it's up to our finance professionals. And we have incredibly talented professional, and by professional I mean CPAs and people with a lot of experience in their field, award-winning. We have these gentlemen that are online that do this for a living. They're professionals. I believe, and I assume that the Attorney General is also an attorney and that they know what they're talking about. And to be the only municipality in Wyoming that can't use this finance because of criticism from the public that comes at a time after the budgeting, when all this stuff has been figured out, it's not the time. And so I would encourage my fellow councilors to vote for this. Thank you.
Other comments? Councilor Bowling.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Yeah, I can't understand this other than being a commonly used financial tool for fiscal responsibility that's available to an entity that is in good fiscal health. And my analogy for myself is if I was going to make a major improvement to my home and I had a good financial position, I wouldn't pull from my reserves. I would borrow against the equity of my home in order to make that happen so that I could make sure that I had that safety net for those things that come up unexpectedly. For example, when we have to spend an unexpected $500,000 to replace a chiller at the rec center or at the Ice and Event Center. So I'm in support of this, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Other comments? Councilor Newman.
This vote has been kicking my butt for, I don't know, 2 weeks now, right? Or 3 weeks, however long we've talked about this. I'm going to look at this from a business side of things. We have a contract. We have to pay these people. I'm gonna vote for this. It's not financially kind of just taking the money and put out of the general fund when I can use that for, I don't know, streets that people have complained about, or the pothole in front of my house that never gets paved, even though I call all the time. Just kidding. Or stormwater or something to that effect, right? I'm not an attorney. I have city staff for that. Whether this is legal or not, I don't know. However, I have counsel who will represent me, us, if need be, right? I wasn't here in 2018. I didn't vote on this. I didn't vote on remodeling this. However, I have to kind of go with that project and let's pay these guys off and get it done. So that's kind of my, even though this vote has sucked for me.
Thank you, Councilor Newman. Other council comments? Councilor Shumway.
I'm very familiar with Mr. Bishop, Todd Bishop. I'm not familiar with Mr. Thompson, but he has been giving advice to the city now for at least 20 years. And if his professional opinion is wrong, I'm sure that it will make a huge impact on their livelihood. So I'm guessing that they have researched this, they know what they're talking about, and so I'm going to follow their advice.
Thank you, Councilor Shumway. First, I want to thank everybody who came out and spoke on this, however you feel about it. I think that is important, and thank you all for being here, first off. I'm going to echo some of what has already been said. This is a tried and true way to pay off some things that's cost effective. We decided to do both of these buildings at once to save money, from my understanding. And when you pass an SPT in 2018, and then you have a pandemic in 2020, and then you have inflation that has been what inflation has been, we need to think about some really, how do we best utilize the funds that we have, so our general fund, to pay for things that we have planned, as Councilor Newman said, our roads, our sewer, all of those things, and use this other tool so that we can focus on using those general funds for the things that the people see every day, right, that we want to implement. We have to be done with it within a year. We can get this done and we can move on. I really appreciate folks coming and talking to us about this and sharing how it is unrolled. I feel like we have heard that it is the Supreme Court has ruled in favor of it, the AG's office has ruled in favor of it, so I feel really good about moving forward with it. And I just want to kindly just remind everyone that this is a republic, right? That there are some things that this council, you voted for us to make the decisions for. And this is one of those things. And so not everything is going to go to a vote all the time, and I think that's the way we were established. And I do appreciate the comments, though, and I love that y'all are involved. I think that's great that you're here and you're expressing your opinions on that, so I appreciate that. That's all I've got. So, City Clerk, if you can call the roll, please.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Behill.
Yes.
Lockhart, absent. Freed, absent. Bowling.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Cumby, absent. That's 6 yeses, 0 noes, and 3 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. And moving on to 11E, Councilor Behill.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Now it's my turn to not have that. We're all just suffering. Thank you. Yes, I got it up here. Perfect. All right. Yeah, thank you, Vice Mayor. I move to approve original ordinance number 2119, amending one section within Title 8 of the Laramie Municipal Code for the purposes of removing potential avenues of confusion in city code as a standard practice and as recommended with amendment by the Planning Commission on first reading in accordance with findings of fact and conclusions of law.
Welcome, Mr. Gabatula.
Second.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. You guys, seriously, who put me in charge tonight? So motion by Behill, second by O'Doherty. Now to you, Mr. Gabatula.
Good evening, Honorable Vice Mayor, members of council. Tonight we have two ordinances, cleanup essentially of code sections that we've found over the past year. We do this every year as a matter of clarifying code essentially. And the first ordinance has to do with Title 8. And there's only one addition here, and I'm jumping straight to the ordinance itself here. So you can see in section 1 that there is not a clear definition or a path forward for folks that want to appeal a decision made to the Board of Appeals. And this is clarifying that, making sure people understand it goes to district court and not to council or some other body. But that is the only change in Title 8, and I'm glad to answer any questions.
Questions? Councilor Doherty.
To clarify for people that aren't looking at the ordinance, it first goes to the Board of Appeals, and then if someone has a problem with the Board of Appeals, then they go to district court, right? Is that the process?
Honorable Vice Mayor, through you, yes, that's correct.
Other questions? All right. Do we have another one on this? No, that's the only one on this. All right, public comment. Okay. City Clerk, if you'll call the roll.
Bowling.
Yes.
Lockhart, absent. Freed, absent. Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Behill.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Cumby, absent. That's 6 yeses, 0 nos, and 3 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. All right, next, we are on to 11F. Counselor Bowling?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I move to approve original ordinance number 2120, amending one section within Title 15 of the Laramie Municipal Code for the purposes of removing potential avenues of confusion in city code as a standard practice and as recommended with amendment by the Planning Commission on first reading in accordance with findings of fact and conclusions of law.
Second.
Moved by Bowling, seconded by Newman. Welcome back.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Vice Mayor. Again, this is a staff-initiated process where we try to clean up the code sections. That means we're getting questions and people are needing clarification, and we're getting the questions more than once, too. So that is also a reason that you see these in front of you this evening. But Chapter 15 has to do with the development standards for the city of Laramie. I should have mentioned that before. Title 8 is really code enforcement specifically, but Chapter 15 is something I get more excited about because I look at it every day. So we're going to clear things up here. Again, I'm looking at the ordinance here. In Section 2, which is essentially the first change. This one has to do with our accessory dwelling unit section, and we want to make it clear that, for our accessory use section. So if you're running a business or a home occupation out of your home, this section is clarifying that you can use both your home, the principal structure, as well as an accessory structure as a shed. For part of that business. And if it's okay with you, Honorable Vice Mayor, I'd go ahead and take questions after each one of these, if there are.
I think that would be great, yes. Questions on that one? I have a question on that one, actually. And maybe that's because I'm not looking, you noted that it could be used as a shed, right? However, it doesn't state that in this. Does it state that somewhere else?
So, Honorable Vice Mayor, so an accessory structure is classified as any additional structure on a residential piece of property that isn't lived in, isn't residential in use.
Okay.
So, detached garage, shed, accessory structure is defined in our code.
Oh, okay.
As such.
I think that was my question, is that somewhere that people would know what an accessory structure was? Perfect, thank you. Go ahead and
Moving on to the
please.
second one.
Yes.
So the second one, we're actually, everyone should be happy about this, removing code, right? We're proposing the removal of this section that requires a 5-foot separation between buildings on any parcel of land. And this is clearly specified in International Building Code as you can have buildings closer to each other as long as certain fire standards are met, so fire prevention standards. So this has caused some issue with development in the past where it's just a discrepancy between our development standard, which doesn't take the IBC into account. It kind of exceeds that, but we've run into a lot of issues or a lot of situations where it seems fine as long as building code is being met, we're okay with it too. So this is removing the 5-foot separation between buildings because it is captured in the building permit phase and if proper fire prevention standards are met. Glad to answer questions on that one.
Questions? Councilor Bowling.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you, City Planner. This might just be my brain being tired, but in our cover sheet, the substantive change number 2, removal to 5-foot minimum, says it was struck by Planning Commission and is not recommended for adoption.
Honorable Vice Mayor, through you, yes, thanks for catching that. And so the cover sheet is actually wrong. So that was a different strike through that they did, but thank you for catching that. The ordinance is correct as written, and the cover sheet will be revised, but it was essentially with the sections written the way it was, 1, 2, 3, with 1 being the City Council amend Laramie Municipal Code Title 15 to read. That's not really a change, and that's kind of where the discrepancy occurred on my part. So I apologize, but the cover sheet will be updated for second reading to reflect that.
Great, thank you.
So, point of clarification, and I'm thanking Mr. Gabatuller. This is just for my own edification. So, the Planning Commission does recommend that we remove that 5-foot minimum.
Mayor, through you, yes.
Okay.
They are in favor of this one. It was yes.
Great, thank you.
Good question, Councilor Bowling. Any other questions on this one? All right, next.
Okay, the next one has to do with townhouse structures in basically being able to be built across lot lines. So right now, it's not clear in code that a townhouse, which obviously has a connected wall and a 0-foot setback, it's not clearly defined in that. So we're wanting to add this language to be very clear that townhouses can be built across lot lines. And that's the reason for this addition.
Questions on this one? All right, moving on.
Okay, section 5. This one has to do with our review procedures. And there we found a discrepancy between what's in this table and what is in the text of the review procedure section of 15.06. I'm not sure if this council's ever been through a planned unit development before, but
I don't think so.
you ultimately approve the preliminary development plan, so the preliminary PUD, but after that, the final PUDs are actually all administratively approved because all that work's been done in the preliminary phase. So basically, we're removing the decision that D along all those other entities and making it within the city manager's office, essentially staff. So this is not changing our procedure, it's just reflecting what our actual procedure is. So found that. Glad to answer questions.
Questions on this one? Okay. Next.
Okay, so the last one we have has to do with trash enclosures. So right now you can see as is currently written, we require a 6-inch by essentially a 4-foot steel pipe. But we were talking with Public Works, and it's not clear that these pipes actually need to be buried at a certain depth, right? So we're clarifying that the diameter of the pole or the bollard itself can also be reduced according to safety standards by Public Works. So they're okay with this. They feel better about having this language in here, which explains how, far they need to be buried, essentially to actually keep dump trucks from busting these beautiful trash enclosures that are required to be brick and so forth. So glad to answer any questions on that one.
Any questions on this one? All right.
I do have one addition. Councilmember Bowling already beat me to it, but there was one. If you look at the staff report for this item, you can see we had some discussion, if you want to pull it up. This is the Planning Commission staff report from February 9th.
Which page? Page 2.
Yes, so if everyone's there, it's actually page 3 of the staff report.
Wait, I'm on the wrong report, sorry. I'm on the wrong
This one is called TA 2508.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if you go to page 3, this is the one they actually struck or recommended striking, and we recommend that as well. Essentially adding a definition for wall area. After some deliberation, we felt like this would probably just add more confusion where staff feels comfortable defining what wall area is. And this really is dependent on when signs are put on commercial properties. The size sign they can have is largely based on wall area. So we've had a couple of questions is what does that mean? Does that include canopies? Does that include the windows and so forth? So we talked about adding this would be a new definition in our term section for wall area, but in this case, Planning Commission recommended striking this and staff supported it, given that we just feel like it would ultimately be adding confusion to the matter where staff interpretation would be adequate. Glad to answer any questions on that as well, on their recommendation.
Any questions on this? I do have one question, and apologies if it shouldn't go here. So in the, sorry, now I've got to find the right document. So in the ordinance document, it doesn't, I don't think it reflects that change. Does that need to be added to the, is everybody tracking with me on?
If I may, Honorable Vice Mayor,
Yeah.
if I can jump in, this one we're not changing. We're not adding into the ordinance. We've decided.
Oh, because you struck it.
Yeah,
Thank you. Sorry. That is why I needed some clarification. Appreciate that. Okay. Other questions? All right. Public comment on these changes. Anybody online? All right, back to council. Any comments? Go ahead, Councilor Newman.
Good job, Planning Commission, for helping us with this, and thanks for staff for bringing this. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, City Clerk, if you can call the roll.
Shumway.
Yes.
Behill.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Lockhart, absent. Freed, absent. Bowling.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Cumby, absent. That's 6 yeses, 0 nos, and 3 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. All right, next moving on to public comments on non-agenda items. Any additional public comment on non-agenda items? Welcome back up, Mr. Henderson.
Thank you very much, Council. Eric Henderson, resident of Laramie. I want to thank you for the courage to consider all that you do in the course of a year, reviewing more than 80% of all of your meetings, whether online or in person. It is absolutely amazing what you tolerate and what you thank the citizens for their vote for you. Most commendable. And the honor of city staff, most tremendous. I don't know how we could be more grateful as a public for the citizens' service that you do individually with the pay that you do. It comes to pennies on the dollar. I would ask one thing as you consider, I sent message on online remote access to meetings. I received 1 of 9 responses to that. Thank you for the counselor that did ask for clarification. It occurs to me multiple times in review of the last 2 years that remote dashboard features perhaps are inconsistent from on a laptop, a computer versus perhaps a phone, a smart device, maybe not smart enough device, but perhaps it could be looked at. Perhaps it could be an educational component to the community to better interact timely. It's often, public comment is often called for, but the impression is that it's not always wanted, as there's not a lot of time delay in waiting, especially the people present probably deserve the most attention as they were here. They made the investment, they drove here, and certainly that's honorable to do that. And in all respect of time, I just hope that council might look at that. And one suggestion perhaps to consider would be that if you allow citizens or remote accessors to come into the room and be present, they are able to view a dashboard with greater amount of time before the urgency of responding timely when called. As your hand goes up, you can see that, but perhaps it would be meaningful to participation with the public and interaction and engagement elevated if we were to allow them in, mute them, not allow that. I don't know if you can not display them, just display name only. I don't know what features exist for the city of Laramie access by Zoom, but perhaps those things could be looked at. That's all I have. If you have any questions, I'd stand for each of those.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. And I know that there was an email exchange that went back and forth to kind of explore whether we could do that with our Zoom platform. I think city manager sent that at some point.
I wasn't included in that from the address that I sent the initial piece. But
so I appreciate you bringing that up, and I believe it is being looked into. So hopefully we can see what we can do with it. Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Appreciate it. Other public comment on non-agenda items? Okay. With that, future work session topics. Yes, Councilor Doherty.
I feel like we didn't get to follow up on what our goals were. So should that be
City Manager?
Honorable Vice Mayor, the workload has been heavy. We are trying to pull that together. The intent is upon the mayor's return to have goals ready for her review and host one more retreat with council to finalize those goals.
Thank you for bringing that up, Councilor Doherty. Perfect. Anybody else? All righty. Moving on. Councilor Newman.
I move we adjourn to executive session regarding litigation, Wyoming State Statute 16-4-405, subsection A, subparagraph 3.
Second.
Moved by Newman, seconded by Vigil. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. And why don't we'll adjourn this. I don't know if I have to do that, but I'm going to. And then how much time do you need, City Clerk, to? 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining us.